Eating healthy and making a lot of your food yourself is definitely a big time commitment and can be challenging to pull off week in and week out amidst just our busy lives. But I want to share with you guys in this video how I am prepping for the week ahead. I like to do a little bit of work ahead of time, and it really pays off and really helps to make healthy eating for myself, but also for my family, which is a huge priority for me. It makes it more doable. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be bringing you guys along with me as I prep for a week of healthy eating. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Becca. I am a mom. I'm also a registered dietitian, and one of my biggest goals or priorities in life amidst all of my other responsibilities is to feed my family well. I try my best to cook with real food, to make nourishing meals, because nutrition is one of the most important things when it comes to leading a healthy lifestyle, especially with growing kids. But with having growing kids, my life is a little bit chaotic and busy. So this is one of those things that, while it's really important, it can also be a major challenge for me. And I know so many of you other moms are in the same boat, and I have learned over the years that one of the most important keys for me is to just do a little bit of prepping and planning in advance. I do this so that I can just set myself up for success, because our weeks are busy and chaotic between work and kids and home life and marriage and everything that goes into that. And for me to just get myself a little bit ahead on, like the weekend or, before we really jump into a busy week, it makes all the difference. So I like to loosely plan out our meals. I also do a little bit of actual food prep too, which we'll get to that. But every week we eat pretty much the same rotation of breakfast. So I never really think much about it. I always keep those ingredients stocked that we need, and that's easy. Lunch is a little bit more of a free-for-all. This is the one meal where I more cater to my kids' likes and dislikes, where I'll let them actually pick what they want from a few choices for lunch. And it's always easy stuff. I keep lunch really easy because I don't love lunch. I don't like making lunch. I don't even like to honestly stop to eat lunch, but it is important. So we will do, like for them, it'll be, turkey sandwiches or peanut butter and jelly, or we'll do snack plates, simple things like that. And then for my husband and I try and always make some kind of dish or salad or something like that that we can eat throughout the rest of the week. I try and make our lunch meal protein rich, have some sort of major source of protein, because it's easy to build meals around protein. And if that's kind of already done or thought out or made, it just makes lunch super easy and also filling and nourishing. And then dinner is where I do the bulk of my planning and decision making. I try and decide, at one point in the week what we're going to eat, because I like to just take advantage of my concentration and make all of those decisions at once. For me, I find it stressful to start out each day thinking, what am I going to make for dinner? I don't like that pressure of creativity every day. I don't like that pressure to make that decision every day. So that tires me out. So I try to just do it all in one foul swoop. That way we can do our grocery shopping all in one foul swoop. And I'll be honest with you guys, I have been in a rut the last month or so with dinners. I feel like just with the craziness of summer, I've put less emphasis on this, and I have just been making the same thing over and over again, which is fine. It does not have to be fancy. Like, just get the food on the table, fill the bellies. But also I feel like we're just kind of getting sick of things, and I needed a little bit of a change. I did actually pick up a cookbook recently that I've had my eye on for a couple of years, and I finally just bought it. And it's just been giving me a lot of inspiration. It's very heavy on utilizing seasonal produce and recipes, which I'm loving for summertime right now. I skipped out on my vegetable garden this year. It just was too much, so I just decided to forego it. And I feel like I've just been kind of out of the loop on fresh produce. But once I got this book, I just felt really inspired to get to the farmer's market and get like some fresh local produce. There's so much amazing stuff coming out of everyone's gardens right now. Summer is really the time for that. So I've been trying to center my recipes more around fresh produce, because I want to take advantage while it's there. Then once I decide what we're going to have for dinner, I like to write it all down on this little chalkboard I have in my kitchen, because if I see it every day, I will remember. And if there's anything that I need to pull out or prep in advance or start a crock pot meal early or something like that, I literally will forget to do it if it's not staring me in the face every single day. So I like to write it all down. I will say though, I don't necessarily follow this like to a T. Some weeks I do, but then there are other weeks where I like to go rogue. Some days we might just not have, literally, and I might not have time to plan or to make what I had planned. We might just not be in the mood for it. I may have forgotten to do something. So, you know, sometimes I do go rogue, and I like the option of being flexible with having like that backbone of a well thought out meal plan that I can always use. We have the stuff we need, so I know that we can make something every night. But the flexibility is really refreshing, and I like being able to lean into that. And I will say that the most important thing, or the biggest key to having that flexibility, is just to have a well-stocked pantry. Just keep basic cooking essentials stocked on hand so that you can sub things in, sub things out. You can, you know, be a little bit more creative if the mood strikes. And one of my personal favorite ways to stock my pantry is with Thrive Market. If you guys have never heard of Thrive, they're an online membership-based grocery store, and they're just a really solid option when it comes to getting healthy groceries, but also at a discount. Okay, you guys, so I have my most recent Thrive order here, and I want to share with you guys what I picked up. So first, I got a bag of organic. These are their sprouted almonds. I always love buying their sprouted nuts. Whenever nuts are sprouted, they are more digestible, the nutrients are more bioavailable, so I always try and buy sprouted if I can. Next, I have, this is my absolute favorite brand of oats. It's the only oats that I buy. It's the 1 Degree brand. These are also sprouted, so same thing, easier to digest, better nutrient bioavailability, so I always try and get the sprouted, and I love that brand. My favorite honey of all time, you guys know I love the Thrive honey. The taste is so good, and it's easy to like scoop out and use and stir into things, but it is organic, it's unfiltered, it's raw honey, so I love this one. And then I also actually got some active dry yeast. I have been experimenting a little bit with yeast and you know, bread baking, which I'll talk about a little bit later in today's video. I picked up another bag of my favorite salt. This is the only salt that I ever use. It is the Redmond Real Salt. It is fine, it's sea salt, and it's very mineral rich. It's not processed. Obviously, it tastes good. Love salt. I'm always using salt in my cooking, and this is the one that I always buy. I got another bottle of their organic extra virgin olive oil. This is such a staple. I don't use it to cook with so much as make like dressings, and I'll sometimes use it in mayo and just all different kinds of things like that. You always gotta have olive oil stocked in your kitchen. And then I also got a couple boxes of the Jovial einkorn pasta. I love the Jovial brand. I buy their flour too, like their all-purpose einkorn flour, which I love. And I love their pasta as well. This is my favorite kind of pasta to eat. We also sometimes buy regular pasta, but this is like always my first choice because it's higher in protein. It has, you know, a little bit more nutrient dense. It's easier to digest. So if you're not a Thrive Market member, they do have both a month-to-month and then an annual membership. I think we all know that groceries are very expensive nowadays, so I am all for getting the good stuff in any way that's gonna allow me to save a little bit. It's obviously so convenient to shop online. It always gets shipped right to your door, which is just so easy. I love their like Thrive Market brand because they have really high quality items, but you know, you're always going to spend less when you're not buying the name brand. They're always adding new stuff. They do cash back, they'll do price matching. You always get free shipping over $49. They also have all kinds of filters on their website, which makes the shopping experience like even easier. I personally love the buy again section because it pulls up everything that I basically love and always order from Thrive, so I never forget. They just have so many organic, high quality options, and obviously if you can get them at a lower price, that is always so helpful. So if you guys do want to try out Thrive, you can click the link in my description box or go to thrivemarket.com/Becca Bristow. You can get 30% off your first order, plus you can also get a free gift worth up to $60 if you're joining today. Plus, they're running their 25% off back to school essentials sale right now, and you get to use my discount code on top of that, which makes it a really great time to sign up. The first thing that I made this week was something we needed to restock on, and that is sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is one of my favorite probiotic rich foods because it is just super easy to make. I think it's like the most foolproof one. Requires hardly any ingredients and is really very versatile. I just kind of add it to, a lot of people ask me like how I actually eat sauerkraut. Often for whatever lunch I have, I'll just stick a little bit on my plate, or if I'm making like some kind of like, bowl with maybe like rice and veggies and some kind of meat, like a burrito bowl, for example, I always throw kraut on top, or I even like to eat it on tacos. That's not for everybody, but I like it on those. And it is so simple to make. You just take a cabbage, remove the outer leaves because you don't know where those, what those have touched or where they've been. And then I always remove another leaf or two and reserve that for later. Then I will go in with just a knife and chop it up really fine. You can do this in a food processor. I do like the end result in a food processor better because it's just more finely chopped, but this is just faster and easier, and it's just the way I've been doing it for a long time now. You will add all of your finely chopped cabbage to a bowl, and then for every large head of cabbage, I usually do 1 full tablespoon of salt. I will mix it all up, and then I usually just let it sit for like 45 minutes to an hour, just so that salt can start drawing out water from the cabbage to basically make it sweat. And then I will come back to it, and it already has leached out like a lot of the water. So you actually don't create a brine when you make the sauerkraut this way. It's so simple. You're just drawing the water that's already out of the cabbage, and that is gonna mix with the salt. I have this little like kraut pounder thing. I don't know what it's called. I'll link it down below. And I use that first to really try and squeeze out more of that water. It's a little bit easier to use versus just using your hands to squeeze, because that can be a little tiring. But then I will go in with my hands and I will just squeeze that cabbage to release all of the water that I can. And you will see that it literally starts dripping out, and that creates the brine for you. And then I just throw all of the cabbage, all of that salty water into a big jar. You want to pack it down as tightly as you can. And then I will take those leaves that I reserved from earlier, I will pop those on top. I will put a little fermenting weight on top, and then just make sure to push it all down so that liquid comes up over top of the cabbage. As long as it's submerged in the brine, it won't have access to oxygen, and therefore it shouldn't get moldy. And then I usually just leave it for a week out on the counter. You can start tasting around day 5, and the more you leave it, the more sour it gets. But once, usually about a week or so, I like the taste of it, I'll pop it in the fridge, and then we'll just add it to different meals for a boost of probiotics. But I also just love the taste. I think it kind of tastes like pickles. It's very tangy and salty. It's so good. The next thing I'm making is green juice. Here's the thing, my kids love green juice and will guzzle it, and I love that for them. But I don't typically buy it because it's very pricey, and I don't typically make it because I don't have a juicer. I just literally don't have space in my kitchen for many small appliances, and I was never able to justify the price tag of a nice juicer. But I recently found the most amazing little gadget that allows me to make juice without actually having a juicer. So I just throw everything, all the fresh veggies in a blender. I usually do spinach or kale, baby carrots, lots of green apple to make it sweet. That's why my kids like it. And then I'll also add some celery. You just put in just enough water so that the Vitamix can blend it all up, basically into a liquidy pulp. And then you pour it into this, basically a juice press. I will link this down below for you guys. This thing is life-changing. And you just squeeze out the juice, and it makes the most delicious green juice. You can't tell that it's a teeny bit watered down. My kids love it. They literally guzzle it down. I feel like work-wise, it's the same amount of work. It's not any easier than a juicer. It still takes time. You have to chop up all the produce and whatnot. But I can throw it in the dishwasher when it's done, so it's easy to clean, and it saves me from having to store a big, massive juicer somewhere in my kitchen. Next up, I'm making a loaf of fresh milled whole wheat sandwich bread. I have actually been experimenting with yeast a little bit recently, which you guys know that I am typically very much a sourdough girl. The reason for that is I have just been not on top of my sourdough game. So if you make sourdough, you know that majority of the time you're always going to start the dough the night before you actually want to bake. And you guys, I am just in a season right now where my youngest is very hard to put to bed. She's the most chill baby, but she just I think she's getting has FOMO. I don't know. She doesn't want to go to sleep. And it's always an adventure getting her down for a bed. And once she's finally asleep, with the very small amount of time I have to decompress before I need to go to bed, I just don't want to like continue working and I just don't want to make something sourdough. And there's just been so many times where I feed my starter during the day and then I never end up making anything. So I'm taking a little break. I'm trying out yeast. It's definitely way easier. I still prefer very much the taste of sourdough and I really prefer the health benefits of sourdough. So I will be going back, but I do love this, you know, idea of having yeast on hand where I can make things in a pinch, because if you don't feed your starter and you don't think about it the day before, then like you're not making, you know, like hamburger buns for dinner or, you know, bread for the week. You really do have to think more ahead of time. So I am loving having this option. And then of course it's way easier because I can just start things during the day or in the morning and it's ready to bake a couple hours later. And I will link the exact recipe down below. These recipes are like the best I've found for fresh milled flour as far as a really light, fluffy bread that actually rises really well. And I also have a video I did a few years ago on the health benefits of fresh milled flour. It's pretty insane the difference between flour you'd buy in the store versus fresh milled. So definitely go check out that video if you are interested in. Basically, I love feeding my kids this bread because I know it is packed with nutrients when normally bread isn't really that. It doesn't really offer that. Next, I am making my favorite granola. We have been out of this granola for a few weeks because I just haven't really made it. It's just been a busy summer and I'm always like, oh, I wish I had that granola. So I'm finally making it. I've shared this recipe before. It's from one of my favorite all-time cookbooks, which I'll link down below for you guys. It's just like a simple, basic granola recipe that you can add to if you want, but I usually just make it as is. So I do 3 cups of oatmeal, about a half a cup of honey, a fourth a cup of melted coconut oil, or you could use avocado oil, half a teaspoon of sea salt, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I add that all to a bowl and mix it up really well. And then you also add in chopped nuts. This time I actually did some sprouted almonds. I also really like doing sprouted walnuts. They're just much easier to digest and the nutrients are more bioavailable when they're sprouted ahead of time. And I just like buying them that way. So I went ahead and chopped up all of the almonds, throw them in with the rest of the granola, mix it all up, and then you just put it on a big baking sheet with some parchment paper and you'll bake it at 275 degrees for anywhere from like 45 to 55 minutes. You just kind of keep an eye on it. And then when it comes out, just let it cool. It will get super, super crunchy and it's so satisfying and it's so delicious. And we love adding this, especially on top of yogurt. If there's granola in the house, my kids are always happy to eat yogurt. So it's just one of those things I like having on hand to reach for. It's also really good sprinkled on top of oatmeal, or you could add it to like muffin recipes. There's just a lot of ways that you can use it. The ingredients are super simple. It's so easy to make and it definitely costs less than buying like the higher quality granola that you can find out there. And then I needed to make something for lunches throughout the week. So I decided this week to actually make pasta salad, which I love pasta salad, but I don't typically make it because for lunch I want something that's higher in protein. But we recently have just been buying like grass-fed frozen burgers that have just been so easy for lunchtime. So I figured we could just throw those. We literally put them in the oven from frozen. They're so easy to make and we can have a burger and then I'll just have like the burger plain with cheese on it and then have some pasta salad on the side. Super easy, very filling, but also very delicious. I will leave the recipe linked down below for the pasta salad that I made. I followed it almost exactly, but I used einkorn pasta. I've done a whole video on einkorn flour and einkorn products that I would definitely recommend if you guys love like the nitty gritty of nutrition behind well, really anything, but in that case, a particular grain. But it's a little bit higher in protein, a little bit more nutrient dense, so I like to use that when I can. It's also easier to digest, not that we necessarily have troubles with that, but I love einkorn. I like using it whenever I can. And then I added cheese and tomatoes and pepperoncinis and olives, some fresh parsley, a little bit of red onion, and then I made a homemade dressing. This is all, it'll all be linked in that recipe down below from what I found on this blog, and it was so good. It was like very zesty and very satisfying and we really enjoyed it. Okay, you guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm hoping that you're walking away with some inspiration to either try a new meal maybe, or something that I showed, or just to be more organized and on top of things in general, if this is an area where you struggle, because it is something that is so important, but it's also something that's hard to pull off. And don't forget, if you guys want to try out Thrive Market, I will leave my link down below. It will give you 30% off your first order plus a free gift worth up to $60. And since they are running their back to school sale right now, it makes it a great time to get started with them. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching it. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe. Join my little community here on YouTube. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications so you know every time that I upload. I put up one new video every week and would love to see you back here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.